good day. Good day. I'm not Matt, and my hair is considerably shorter than his, so I can't even pretend to be Matt. In classic fashion, he has actually completely forgotten that there is meant to be a live stream. He head out this morning to do a job somewhere and hasn't returned. In fact, he only just called me about 60 seconds ago and was like, oh yeah, do you think we could postpone it? Do you think we could do it on a different day? No, I'm already here, the countdown's going, I've got an agenda, why don't we just cover it all off just as is? So I hope you're not disappointed. We're going to go through everything that I can possibly think of that's happened over the last month, that's happened, to be honest, could even be over the last year. It feels like quite sort of a wrap-up time of year. And I'm sure we're going to have a good time regardless, even without his lordship. And you can all berate him at a later point. Actually, you could do it on Instagram, you could do it on email, social media, do what you want to berate him for being late. Because this isn't only late, this is just utter failure. And it's embarrassing for me, for him, for his family. I don't know what we're going to do. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me running solo. I've got the chat to the side here. There's a fair few of you in here. It's nice to see you. Bit of Chris Tussaud, Tom Kemp, Educated Numpty, Neil Smith, Adam OS, Darren Rhodes, Pierre Lorac. I'm no good with names. I'm really sorry. Here we got Tim Biller, Nate E. Good to see you. I think I've covered everything. But yeah, it's a good point. We should prank him. But what would end up happening is, in my attempts to prank him, I'd probably disconnect the stream, disconnect the lights, disconnect the electricity. Something would happen. And right now, I'm quite confident that this is the smoothest that it's ever run because Matt isn't here. So I don't want to tip it off balance, as it were. Hi Sarah, good to see you. And yes, what else have we got going on? I've just read out people's names. I haven't read anything in the questions. Is there anything more Matt than missing his own live stream, says Chris? Absolutely not. Nate said this is about the smoothest running stream ever. Oh, the irony, as I just saw it buffer. Please let me know in the chat if there are any issues. I'm trying to multitask here, of course. And yes, oh yeah, that crazy alarm. So I was running around getting everything sorted because I was like, right, Matt's going to turn up at 3:30. It's going to happen. He's going to just pull it out the bag. I'll grab his mic. We'll be ready to go. And just as I'm about to settle in and settle down, this alarm goes off. And it is so loud. It came from the office, just over there, something blasting out. So I run in there thinking, oh no, there's an alarm. What's it going to be? Is it going to be a fire? Is it going to be a burglar? Am I going to have to, I don't know, bash someone around the head? No, I didn't expect that. I more thought about running away. And I couldn't find it. It was just so loud, I couldn't position it. I was like, what's going on? Matt thinks, because he called me, of course, a minute before we're about to start, that it was a fire alarm that's above, sort of in this window panel above the office. And that's concerning. It shouldn't be going off. It's really temperamental, it seems. But that is a shockingly loud alarm. Whoever invented that definitely wanted people to get up and go when they heard that, because that was terrifying. Never want to hear that again. Any idea on Matt's ETA? Depends how he's getting on at this other place. I think he's doing some like kitchen fitting, doing it for a favour for someone. They had a worktop that was quite inconvenient to put together. So he's gone over there to do that. Time has run away, but he seems to be enjoying himself, which means that I don't know if he's going to turn up. I don't know if he's not. It really depends on how long this live stream goes on for. But yeah, is the alarm battery operated? Need new ones. I think it might be. And it probably does, based on the fact we had another alarm of the same brand go off the other week in the main workshop, and that was just as horrifying. So it's probably they're all running out of battery power as we speak, and they probably need a good swap, because I know Matt probably hasn't done that. So let's grab the old agenda. And if at any point I look like I'm shaking, it's because it's bloody cold in here. But the last time we did it in the office, I almost fell asleep, so I thought, right, I'm going to wake myself up and we're going to get this done. So I don't think I welcomed anyone. I'm going to do that now. Oh no, I did. I said everyone's names. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being patrons. Thank you for joining the December monthly catch-up. And this month we're going to go over, or I'm going to go over, 5 various topics and then a Q&A. We've got project packs, dispatching, good thing. We've got the shaker table, something about that that's going on. A sale that we're doing, that's a first, that'll be good fun. Marking knife back orders, serious progress on that, happening very soon. And New Year projects, which I think we covered a little bit last time, but I think we should cover this time a little bit more in depth, or just focus on a few things that we want to make a priority before anything else. And then of course, if you've got any questions throughout the live stream, feel free to pop them over to me. I'll be reading them in the chat, but otherwise I'll be answering them at the end as well. So first, project packs dispatched even. I don't actually have any to hand. The funny thing is, this was completely covered just before Christmas. I hope everyone had a good Christmas, by the way. And surrounding the camera, just not in the line of sight, is a bunch of shaker tables. I can see walnut, oak, ash, I think, and they look incredible. And before Christmas, we put in a hell of a lot of work to make sure we got out as many as we possibly could. We prioritised UK orders, primarily because we knew that that would sort of get out and going first, that would get to the locations quite quickly. And it was a good thing too, because it now has sort of highlighted what we need to do in terms of improving a little bit of a packaging, because we had a few emails back saying, oh, somehow a part of the packaging has torn apart. Weirdly, it's the solid bit of cardboard that's in there that shouldn't have ever ripped apart, but it did. Happened to a couple of people, but it meant that we could improve on that, fix that. We're getting that stuff sorted with the parties who are affected, which is no problem at all. And it also means that when we send the stuff overseas, we can make sure it's more structurally sound. We can make sure we've reinforced the corners, the edges, blah, 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 you name it. We can get that sorted. What we're going to do next time as well is we're going to get some custom sized, essentially cardboard sheets. We're going to slot them into position so that nothing moves around. We were doing some experimenting with a laser cutter. Thank God that we had that, because we were actually able to recycle some of the cardboard. You might have seen it in the behind the scenes, so that we had this sort of slat structure, which created this platform within the box so that nothing got squished. It's sort of a good in-between level, but we need to take it a step more. And so we're going to get some thick, probably corrugated cardboard come in, cut out individual slots for different size pieces, whether that's for the shaker table, the toolbox, the dovetail box, what else? The book stand doesn't need it because that is a tightly packaged unit. That's all good. And then what's the other one? Dovetail box, shaker table, toolbox, cabinet, and the cabinet project. Yeah, that was another one that needs a little bit more padding to make it structurally sound. But good news is we now know what we need to do for next time. Is going to be even smoother operation. We were really impressed actually that the first operation that we did, getting all the wood in to begin with and sorting through them all, grain matching, sorting out that, went as smoothly as it did, because we were really winging it. But now we know exactly what we can improve, and it's going to get even better, even faster. And hopefully that means that we're going to start sort of getting this sort of backlog of stock available, so that if people buy stuff, they can actually get it immediately, rather than having to wait for the full aggregate of orders to happen at the end of the month before the order happens, before the order to the timber supplier happens. Speaking of stocking stuff, we've also learned that when we get the timber in, we want to make sure that the grain matches as accurately as possible for each project's pack. So if we're looking at the legs of the shaker table, we're making sure that the grain and the colour all sort of has a similar style. Same for the toolbox sides or drawer sides, you name it. It's, you know, you're woodworkers, you know what you're sort of looking for. But it could have easily been that we just grabbed the wood and just thrown it out without thinking about it. We didn't, of course, quality control. We went through and sorted out everything, which meant that there was some stuff that we believed wasn't quite worthy of just being called a project pack, similar to how, say, a marking knife has a B-stock sort of grading system. If a marking knife is B-stock, it means it has a very minor imperfection, nothing that's going to affect the performance of it, or even affects, to most people, the appearance of it. but it's just enough not to be perfect and not to be premium. So we're going to do the same thing with the project packs, so that we've got B stock of them, which means that they'll be slightly discounted, they'll be on the store, and they'll be purchasable individually. Of course, we won't be sending people B stock if they've ordered a proper pack. It just means that every time we over order from the timber supplier with those extra pieces of wood that come from doing these grain matches, we might just go, oh, you know, that's a bit curvy or curly, but that bit's a bit straight and they're meant to be sides. Maybe that ends up as B stock. Or, you know, you might have some knotty timber. I think it's for poplar. Some of that can be quite knotty. So that would become B stock, or anything that might have a little bit of a, you know, chunk of, like, I say a chunk of wood missing, maybe a little bit of tear out on an edge, something that you could remedy while making the project but doesn't look so perfect as you get the project, that could potentially become B stock too. So that's the plan in the future. We're always going to over order from the orders that we get in per month. That aggregate goes to the timber supplier, we can then take it back, sort via quality, and that means that we'll have the B stock comfortably available after the fact, and the people who have ordered get the high quality stuff they asked for. So that should be pretty damn good, and we can't wait to get that process even more streamlined as we get the new product packaging in. So let me just have a quick check of the chat. They must have live streams of Timber Vita there. Says educated numpty. Oh, I see. Yeah. Right, that's where Matt is. Tom thinks he'll turn up tomorrow. We'll be lucky if he turns up tomorrow. And Sarah says, lovely how Matt values his sponsors so much. He's just forgotten. Literally forgotten, because he's useless. But with that being said, I sort of threw this at him saying, we need to get it done today because tomorrow we're too busy. Let's make it happen. So that's absolutely fine if he's late. We'll get stuff done anyway. So then, project packs, we've got the shaker tables. I mentioned those. Obviously, they're going out. But in terms of the videos on the Freeland Woodworking School, the full series is now out there. So you can build it from start to finish, which is fantastic. But we've got the overview video, which I think we probably...
Could you try again?
Nope. Sorry, watch. We've got the overview video that should be coming out in the next week or so. We're aiming for the 1st. That might have come up even in the last monthly catch-up, but it's taken us so long to get it right, to make sure everything's in order. It looks really good. It's a really satisfying video to see. But just so you know, there will be a full overview video seeing the shaker table made from start to finish in the more engaging format that you come to expect on the main channel video. Speaking of the shaker table, when that video goes live, we will be doing a New Year sale. So on the 1st of January, hopefully that's when the video goes live, we will also be running a sale on the website to go through all of the B-stock knives that are on there and the project packs, say, that are, do I mean project packs? I mean shaker table project packs. I think we're going to discount them, primarily because it seems like a good time to discount them at the same time as a release of the main video. Don't know about project packs in general, but we're probably looking around 10% off everything on the website. And for you guys, because you're patrons, because we love you, we'll probably do 20%. So you can get 20% off a marking knife at that time, 20% off a shaker table pack. Perhaps, I just need to confirm with Matt. Don't take anything I say for gospel. But probably about 10 days of sales, I reckon, from the 1st of January. Which should be pretty good. So just to confirm, that's probably just for the shaker table and the remaining B-stock knives on the website, because we want to make sure that anything that's on the website in terms of marking knives gets sort of flushed out the system, so we get a clean, fresh start in the new year for the marking knife back orders. Again, something we've talked about in the past, but we're going to make them go live around the 1st or the first week of January too. This means a little bit of a new layout of the website. We've got new images that I've been formatting. We've got 12 different wood varieties that you can choose in terms of a knife handle. And within those, we've got 5 different fells you can choose from as well. So in terms of the woods, I was meant to bring my list with me and I've forgotten it. Never mind, I'm not going to try go through them now. But the fells, you can get the classics, you can get the copper, brass, bronze and steel. And we'll also be adding titanium to the mix as well. And the really nice thing is, because they're going to be so neatly formatted on the main website, it means that you can select your variation of ferrule like you've been able to do before, and it'll just change just the ferrule bit so you can see exactly how the colour correlates to the wood and vice versa. So hopefully then you can then pick your favourite wood, your favourite ferrule, and much like the project packs, we're going to aggregate those orders over the course of the month and bring them together towards the end, produce them, dispatch them, keep you in the loop via a mailing list, same way that we're doing the project packs if you've been a part of those, and hopefully that should mean no more panics and no more rushes every time a marking knife batch goes out. It means there'll be a nice steady flow, you guys get exactly what you want, we get a little bit more peace of mind in terms of how stuff's going instead of just rushing these batches. And it should mean that we're in a much better place for working on other projects in the future in regards to time. So, Chris says, do the images have consistent formats and names? Yes, 100%. I've been the one who's been going through them. So, quick maths, there's 12 different knife handles, 2 different images for each one, and 5 different variations for each image. So therefore we're talking, what is that? 24 times 5, was that 120? 120 different images that are going to be uploaded to the website, all correctly named, all compressed to the right size so that it doesn't slow down the website, and we're going to be in a nice organised position for future updates. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to be crafting special knives from exotic materials perhaps, or unique materials. We keep on thinking about Damascus fells and stuff like that, which by the by is not coming anytime soon because they're incredibly difficult to work with. But that doesn't mean that they're not coming, it just means that we're going to have a nice steady standard range for people to choose from the website, and then you've got specialist stuff that might come in batches, smaller batches throughout the year. Chris, yeah, it's all a pain. Just every last bit of it, but I'm pretty much done with it now. All I've got to do is export them, which is still going to take an hour, but still, progress, can't complain. So, New Year's sale, covered that. Marking knife back orders, oh, I've just covered that as well. I'm whizzing fast through the catch up. Yeah, I mentioned how they'll be aggregated. New Year sale. Okay, so New Year projects. I don't want to dive too deeply because we have talked about in the past, but the key projects that we're looking to produce as soon as sort of January comes around and Matt's back from his holidays is the dining table and the coffee table. The dining table that we're planning on making will be a much larger scale project, not something that's going to end up on the Free Online Woodworking School, but something that you might still learn a decent amount from as you would any sort of main channel video. But the coffee table will be a Free Online Woodworking School project, hopefully going to be sponsored. I don't know if we've confirmed who it might be sponsored by yet. We haven't signed any contracts, so I won't confirm that. But all that means in regards to sponsorship is we're going to utilise extra techniques to make use of the sponsors' products. And in so doing, you're going to learn extra techniques using, you know, any brand of product. It doesn't have to be this exact one. We're not going for a brand who's so bespoke they're the only people you can buy this stuff from. But it does mean that we can venture into slightly different areas that haven't been covered before, which should be pretty good, as ambiguous as all of that sounded. Then we also mentioned, I believe, product development. So we were talking mallets, we had screwdrivers in the works. The plan was to get the CNC machine going, the big 1-ton machine that's out in the wood turning room, and get that sort of producing something by about now. That hasn't happened because apart from anything else, we're not very good at planning, it seems. We have a nice full calendar and then we realise, oh wait, Christmas, that gets in the way. Oh wait, all these little things we've got to do before Christmas. Oh wait, project packs, they've come in, we should dedicate all our attention to that. Rightly so. And that's been slightly delayed, but in the meantime, we've had some really good chats, we've had some sort of really good in-depth development sessions, especially, especially on the mallet side of things. Really cool ideas going on here, really cool stuff. that's going to set it out way apart from the rest in its own really unique way, which should be a lot of fun. You guys are going to see the development, of course, but that is probably going to be pushed slightly later. Hopefully maybe prototyping towards the end of January, and then February we can see where we're at in terms of starting to go into slightly larger scale production, and at that point maybe we think, I'm going to throw dates out there, maybe March for back orders, but at the moment it's all a little bit up in the air. But as we plan and develop each stage, you guys will get to know what's going on in the first place. But while we're producing the dining table and the coffee table, we've got the van videos. There's plenty more of those to come out. Matt's got a nice little structure now. I've seen all his post-it notes discussing exactly what needs to be done in what places. He's slowly working through those, and that's probably something that we're going to be focusing on releasing while the dining table and the coffee table are being sort of filmed. And then hopefully we'll be at a good point to go, right, we've got the dining table sorted. I can go edit that while Matt is then working on the coffee table. That will be the next video out, and then we'll do the coffee table as its overview video on the main channel. And obviously, as per usual, you have a multi-part series on the free online woodworking school as well. Whether that's something that we turn into a project pack, not sure yet, because it's going to be a much larger size project than we've ever done before. But even so, it's still something valuable for the free online woodworking school because there is so much detail that we can go into. Some really cool designs that I've seen from Matt already on the subjects. Bit more veneering, bit of solid woodwork, bit of some unique doors that wrap around the sides and the back of it. That's assuming we stick to that. But it should be good. It should be a really cool, fun project, and the outcome should be sort of the next sort of standard that we're hoping to achieve in terms of free online woodworking school productions, in terms of what you can gain from them, and then sets us in good stead for, you know, the second quarter of the year, where we can start to go for these really big project ideas that we've had in our notes for so long now. Like I said last time, we've got like 100 different ideas that we can go for. But yes, let me just have a look at the messages. Educated Dumpty says, how about an Easter egg for the website? Say a link for a marking knife, but when you click on it, you get a baby picture of Matt or you for a giggle. It's really tempting to do that. You could have like one individual pixel, but if you click it in the right place, you just get a back catalogue of Matt, or like a discount of some amount. You know, that I'll tell you what's going to end up happening is I will end up trying to input that pixel. The pixel will invert itself, and then it will be, right, you click on the website and the whole thing will immediately go to there. You'll never actually just have that one page. It will just be the full thing the whole time. I would shoot myself in the foot. That would probably get me fired if the website was no longer functional. Actually, speaking of which, if you guys have seen, I think Chris has updated us on this before, Chris Dussault, thank you for getting in touch, but the Free Online Woodworking School has been having a little bit of issues recently. Speaking of which, let me just go to it just to confirm. Oh my god, it's actually having more issues than I realised. Oh dear. Don't go to it. Don't go to the freeonlinewoodworkingschool.com. Essentially, we have a plugin that's on it that goes through WordPress, and that's had some issue. I don't know whether it needs to be updated. I don't know whether it needs completely reworking. Who knows? But we're in touch with the website hosts who can hopefully sort some of this out, because obviously this hasn't happened to the main site. But you might be aware that the Free Online Woodworking School is currently having some issues. We know about this, we will be sorting it. It is on our to-do list. Unfortunately, it's just had to wait a little bit. But I didn't quite realise it looked like that at this moment in time. Hey ho, never mind. Moving on. What else came through? Nate said, I need a mallet. I can't just keep buying knives. You can just keep buying knives. That is allowed. And in fact, if you keep buying knives, what I can then persuade Matt to do is start producing these these knife holders that are really cool because it's got the magnet on the back. And then you can just... I knocked that off. That wasn't the magnet. Oh, I just can't reach. There we go. And then you can display them and they look epic. But currently it's like, do we really need to, do we? Yes, because it looks awesome. Why wouldn't you? But of course, we desperately want to get the mallets out as well. What would be really cool is to get the mallets and the knives and basically have this matching set or come in a perfect box. Obviously, you don't have to buy both at the same time. But if you did, we'd have a specific sort of style of packaging for it. Then when we get the next tool, that can be, isn't it, like in a 3-tool box with custom foam inserts and all this sort of stuff. We love packaging. We're complete nerds about it. But that is where we want to get to, where we've got all these different products that are so high quality. That sort of sets us apart in this really nice, neat format. You don't want to throw away the packaging because it's so good. And yeah, we're desperate to get the mallets out. I think Matt, obviously more than anyone, because he's been working on them for so long. But it's going to be a matter of time. And now that there's 2 of us here, we're going to get a hell of a lot done. So, Neil said, I just got 2 new carving mallets for Christmas. Yeah, see, there we go. We've missed out on that because we've been too slow. That's our fault. Chris says, nice Neil. I ended up with a dust collector for my lathe. Very good. That was my big gift, unless you count the car I purchased you. Chris, what are you, just minted? Just purchase a car. Why don't you? Just, extract for the lathe. Yeah, car. Brag about it. I'm only jealous because my cars are ancient. Chris plans on making another mallet this year. Awesome. Pierre, sorry you've got to go. Sorry if I missed that. Hopefully you can catch my goodbye in a bit. Chris can't wait to see the coffee table design. Yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be really good. Chris said, make a fake marking knife out of a picture with a clear handle and your 2 pictures in it. Put that on the shop and charge 0 for it. I think it would almost be funnier if it was like 4 or 5 times the price. Just because people would be going like, what the hell? People actually buy this stuff? And in reality, no one will. But the perception will be, oh my God, that's what they're doing. But I don't know, maybe we're sort of just trying to aim for a slightly higher standard than sort of our antics from before. Obviously, there are still antics. You've seen it in the behind the scenes. But there's something about the website that's starting to feel a little bit more premium and is something that we're hoping to invest heavily in either early to mid this year, so that it's not only more efficient and faster on your end when opening it and viewing it, but it's better on the back end in regards to deliveries coming through, in regards to dealing with tax in different regions, to, I don't know, even, providing discounts or having different displays on the website that move when you move the page down. All this sort of stuff that is so fiddly in WordPress, and we've got some ideas where we want to go with that. But we want to make the website a bit of a more premium place. Good old WordPress. Yeah. It's a nightmare. It really is. The unfortunate thing is, we utilised WordPress because I think originally, was Matt on Squarespace or Wix maybe? I was on Wix and I was disappointed at what it had at the time. This was maybe 7 years ago. And now Wix and probably Squarespace and probably all these other ones have come so far along. You're like, why am I even using WordPress? I just need templates. I just need a website that's responsive and functional without all the hassle. You don't need to be so in depth now that you need WordPress. And all these other websites have all this different functionality. So at some point we're going to do a transition. We're going to get another company in to actually handle that. Don't worry, we're not going to do it ourselves. But yeah, the transition should be a good one. Educated Numpty, I'm going to ignore that question because I'll say something that I'll regret. Tom said, yeah, wow, the school website isn't doing well, is it? No, and it's really frustrating because so much work went into that, obviously from Matt's point of view and mine, before I left to go work for Bosch. There was a period where that was primarily the only thing that I was doing. It was making sure that the website had all of the updated information on, transferred from somewhere else, I think, or it's kind of like updated page structures, making sure that links to and from different pages went to the right place and stuff. All of these things don't exist in Wix at all. You can just upload a CSV of all the lessons and it creates all the pages automatically. Meanwhile, WordPress ruins it. And now it's ruined it even more. Thankfully, of course, the shop is okay, which is weird because it uses the same plugins. The main website is okay, which is weird because it uses the same plugins. Just the Freeline Woodworking School. Just had a bit of a meltdown. Very annoying indeed. Darren said you need a nice CNC lathe to help get those mallets done quicker. We've got one. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. But if you're not, and if people didn't know, we do have a CNC lathe, which Matt hasn't turned on yet, even though he's owned it for a year. So we're not even sure it functions. But it's heavy, it looks really cool, it's got a machine panel that looks like you can launch a space shuttle with it, and yet we don't know if it works yet. I mean, that's going to be the main part of the video, right? When we actually release the mallets, we'll have a proper video showing the making of, very much like the marking knife video did. And getting that working, that will be a good trial. That won't be any acting involved to sort of enhance the panic and the fear of what if it doesn't work. It will literally be, what the hell do we do if it doesn't work? It's going to be fun. I can't wait to do it. But there's so many other things going on at the same time. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to get on working on it when temperatures plummet to something like minus 15 degrees outside. And we'll be in here in the coldest room of the shop trying to get this big hunk of metal working, and it will be miserable. I mean, that might make a fun video, but it's going to be miserable for us. We've gotten away with it for the moment. It's a good thing the temperature's been so mild for the project packs. Otherwise, we would have just been miserable trying to sort that stuff out, especially with doing sort of intricate cardboards and taping and all this sort of stuff. But hey ho, it is what it is, and either way, I know it's going to be good fun and it will make a good video. Chris says, I agree with the not messing with the website. Yeah. Tim Biller suggests Squarespace. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I'm sure they're probably all the same nowadays in terms of what they can do in terms of performance, aside from WordPress. So, and then you start getting to the mindset of it's the devil you know, so maybe I'll just go for Wix again. That's what we're thinking anyway for the Freeline Woodworking School. We're thinking we'll step away from, we probably won't transition it alongside the main website or the shop to the new platform. We'll probably keep it on its own thing to keep it simple for management, because of course we're not selling stuff through this. It's essentially a blog or multiple pages just posted permanently. So that's something that we might transition to Wix or Squarespace, but obviously that's a huge amount of data involved and a fair bit of time. But to be honest, nowadays it could probably just take me 3 or 4 days as opposed to what it took me last time when I worked far less and understood far less about websites. Sorry, Darren. Yeah, I missed the sarcasm. Missed it. Sorry about that. You can sherbet by the... I'm not sure what you just said there, Tom. And that, again, I can't... It's like Educated Numpty's query earlier. And I'm sure it isn't. But just saying that in my head, whatever comment you just made, something about sherbets, licking fingers and sticking in. I'm going to get myself cancelled. I've got no idea. No idea what that is. But I'm actually really curious. Sarah said, to be fair, the CNC lathe needs to be watched by somebody, so it can't just be set up and left alone. True. Yeah, true to an extent. Because, of course, yes, it needs to be carefully monitored, same way as the laser cutter might be. But there is a certain point where you're like, right, I understood how this wood acts, or understand how this wood acts. I understand this particular project involved and this particular turning style involved, and therefore we can predict when those moments could be a little bit riskier and therefore sort of step away from it for a little bit more extended periods of time. What we've done to mitigate risk is actually we've got quite a few Wi-Fi cameras around to focus purely on the machines. They're not for CCTV or anything like that. It's purely to focus on the machines that are going to be left alone. So I've currently got one on the laser cutter up on the mezzanine, because I wasn't going to sit next to it while, pardon me, I wasn't going to sit next to it while all of the Patron plaques were being cut out, because some of those were taking an hour to go through, a whole hour, because they are really quite intricate. So there is one directly overhead. I can watch it real time. It doesn't cut off like a blink camera does, and it means that I just have it permanently next to me like another screen, and I can see whether there's a fire happening. Which, to be fair, the only time a fire has happened is when I'm watching it. So I think I'm the common denominator here, causing the issues. So we've got one as well, exact same style above the CNC lathe. So theoretically, even if we had the laser cutter going and the CNC lathe, what we're going to do is we'll probably get an iPad, so we've got a bigger screen, and you can display multiple cameras all at the same time, so we can keep an eye on it. You know, sort of peripheral vision, double check something hasn't exploded. Now that I think about it, is it better or worse to be in the room monitoring it if it explodes? Because if you're in the room, maybe you can reduce the chance of it happening, but as I'm sure most of you know, an explosion happens pretty quick on a lathe, so maybe it's best to see it on a camera and then go, oh no, and then run off and try and sort it out. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, obviously we don't want to cause any damage to person or property here, so we will be keeping a watchful eye on it until we're at the point of being mildly confident with how successful or unsuccessful a mallet making process might be. I still don't understand, Tom, what you're talking about. You can eat sherbet by licking your finger, sticking it in, and licking it off. Oh, right, I see. I see, because otherwise it's like a powder. See, my head, immediately, when you talk sherbet, I think sherbet lemon. I'm like, why do you need to lick your finger with a sherbet lemon? No, you're talking about sherbet inside a pouch. It's probably like a powder, therefore you're not going to be able to do it with a dry finger. I get it. I get it. I've never bought sherbet, but now I know what to do when I do. Oh, I see. Thanks for the comment, Sarah. I get it now. You're giving us an excuse. Thank you. I was suddenly panicking, thinking how many people are going to think wrong of us for sort of leaving machines going. So I covered the ground and then, yeah, I took it the wrong angle. Bomb diffuser suit would be pretty good, actually. Or you know, like a bulletproof perspex screen. You could just have that there. Therefore, you wouldn't worry so much about the camera either. Unfortunately, it's just quite a small room to be working on. So I wouldn't want to be in there anyway. Remote monitoring explosions is the way to go. I'm glad other people are agreeing with this whole concept, because I was really chuffed with how easily they set up. And they're really cool little cameras as well. It's not sponsored, obviously, but if you need any that are fairly cheap, I mean, I think they're shockingly cheap for what they are. They're about £25, whatever that is in US dollars. It's probably very similar at the moment. And they're USB powered, they rotate, and they can look up and down, so you can basically do whatever the hell you want with them. You can mount them upside down, all this sort of thing, and they come with a little, like a tripod head for a camera mounting system, and you just connect them via Wi-Fi, and you're sorted. Done. Maybe it's not something that you want to use for your CCTV, because, you know, different countries and certain security and regulation concerns, yes. But for something that you don't mind potentially someone just hacking into because it's, I don't know, focused on your cat's bowl, or whether your oven has turned on at the right time, I don't know. They're really good. Little Elf is the brand, and it's a funky name, so come on. Little Elf, you can get them in white and black as well. Again, not sponsored, I just really like them. $31.90 American. Okay, so things have improved slightly on the exchange rate. Yeah, Andy Weeks, that's what we need. Like a cam lab or dealing with radioactive stuff, exactly the same way. Educated Numpty said, you have a porg sitting in the office doing nothing. True, that can be the sacrifice. It can be the watcher. Mount that to a little security camera. Tom says, have a guard with a shock detector, which is linked for CNC, and if an impact is detected, it turns off. That actually sounds pretty good. The only difficulty with that is there is no input as far as I'm aware. Well, no, there must be, though. There's no clear input that I've seen on the control panel where you could add a different device. And the power cord that comes off it is just thick. So maybe we don't want to be messing with that, but it's a bloody good idea. If anything, actually, you have a sensor that just activates an alarm. So even if you didn't catch it on the CCTV, you'd go, oh, what's that? That's the scary noise that suggests I'm going to be scared when I walk into the lathe room. And maybe that's where we have an external plug to turn it off before going in there. Possibly. FYI, if those security cams are like the ones over here, they probably film time-lapse. Just saying. Yes, do they? I know they can film from them. You can just press record and it basically films it straight to your phone, which is really cool. So we might utilise those. I was tempted to do it for some of the laser cutting, but to be honest, I think people have seen enough laser cutting for now. But that would be quite cool for stuff like the lathe. Like when we just need to step away and just have something going over time. I'll have a look into that. That would be good. Tom Kemp thinks we're far better than we are. He says, add an extra wire to the emergency cut-off circuits. It's simpler than you think. Matt actually might be able to do that with the stuff he's been doing with the van. So he might actually know what he's doing. Meanwhile, I'm like terrified to even replace a light bulb in the ceiling. No, not a light bulb. I can replace a light bulb. A light fitting in the ceiling. That's something I still call up my dad for. Which I might have to get out of the habit of and just do myself. Because if I don't do it myself at some point, then I'm never going to learn. I shall do that. Andy Wick said, like you said, the control panel is like something out of NASA. Do we know it doesn't have some kind of foobar detection built in? What does foobar stand for? Again, what does foobar stand for? Oh my God, my fingers are barely working. Is that cold? It's an acronym that originated in the military, effed up beyond all repair. I need to remember that. That is really good. To be fair, as it is such a large unit, it's like bigger than a PC tower, essentially, to give a bit of context without just showing you. It might actually have a big alarm system built in. There's plenty of space for a speaker in there. Plenty. Snafu is another favourite. Fine, I'll look that up. Snafu. Again, these are words I sort of may have used at one point, but not understood what they were. Situation normal, all left up. Okay, that is another good one. I'm actually almost tempted to write these down. I'm just going to save that as a bookmark. And save foobar as a bookmark. This is when you guys immediately see in the Patron posts that I'm making use of them. If there's any more acronyms, please let me know. Cool. I shall talk to Matt about that, Tom. It's a good idea. Darren says, Pebcac is one of my favourite words. Problem exists between chair and keyboard. Another good one. I'm liking all these. Yeah, I feel like these are sort of things that I could start to like intertwine into like, you know, Patreon posts and then into videos and then I'll just slowly sneak it into Matt's vocab. And maybe I'll just tell him it stands for something else as well. Probably quite easy, that'd be good. That's something I should probably learn. Just all these acronyms, just to insult him in different ways, or say, oh yeah, that's you done really well, and yet I love it. Whatever acronym I use will just be an insult. It'll be perfect. Cool. So I think I've gone a little bit off the rails, but if there are any questions that you want to sort of throw in here before I decide to sort of shut the stream down, because of course Matt still hasn't turned up yet, and yet I've whizzed through all the topics like nothing else. Please just throw them in the chat right now. I'm literally open to answer anything to do with the business, in terms of what we're doing, in terms of how we're planning, producing, editing stuff, you name it, throw it in there if you want to know anything. If you don't, forever hold your peace. That's also absolutely fine. But I'll tell you what, while potential questions are coming in, I will sort of discuss a few other things that we're thinking about as well. this might have come out in maybe the first monthly catch-up that we spoke about, but the idea of doing an online course and live streaming it, particularly something that might go on a similar vein as one of the project packs, say just like the Dovetail box so far. And we're thinking about maybe doing something like that early this year, something where we can get multiple cameras involved, do something across multiple days, and basically create an environment where you don't just have to watch these non-live YouTube videos to do a project. You can actually watch and participate in the project being built live over a period of time. This would be essentially like a live paid course, but again, something that we think we could then publish afterwards, steeply discounted from what the actual non-live, from what the live thing was, but as potentially a package where you can sort of see the whole thing again if you hadn't already participated in it. I don't know if I made sense there, but essentially if that's something that you're interested in, the whole idea of participating in a live build across multiple days, drop us a message. I tell you what, on Patreon, because it's something that I pick up on quite frequently. Ignore that message, Chris, because I'm obviously, yes, I do miss some of the messages, but on Patreon, at least I know that you guys have our best interests at heart. You can be honest with us with exactly what you may or may not wish for. If you've got ideas regarding how that could be laid out, the formats or the projects that you'd like to see, or how it would most benefit you, drop me a message. It's probably not a good idea to just write it in this chat because, quite honestly, it's so difficult finding stuff once it's all gone live. But send a message on Patreon and we can then start collating those ideas and building a structure and idea that's going to be beneficial to all and hopefully provide a huge amount of value, more than just, oh look, we're live. Actually, no, we're providing more than just a live scenario where obviously it's questions and answers. It's showing you step by step on a granular detail, on a real-time detail, no time lapses involved, of course. And maybe that's something that you guys would be interested in, and it's something that you guys can help shape for the future. I'm almost thinking now, maybe it's something that we just run with you guys as a test thing as well first, before doing anything public. Food for thought. This is quite good, you just talk to yourself the whole time, you come up with ideas. But yeah, let me know. In any case, Chris said, do you guys have a plan moving forward to incorporate project packaging into your future schedules? What, in terms of making sure that we're getting stuff sorted? Oh, wait. Because we've got future schedules already planned, have we actually got the project packaging planned in there? No. Opening up the Notes app now, and I shall get that in there. Project packaging planning. That's now in there. Thank you. On it. Rob, when are you going to try out the lathe? Good question. To be fair, I have once used the lathe. I made a pen, because of course that's probably the first thing anyone ever makes on a lathe. And it turned out really well, considering I used Padook, of course. And I think I gave it to my mum for Mother's Day. She probably has never used it. It's probably in a drawer, which is a nice thing for Padook, because it stays red. But I do want to get into more woodwork stuff. I do want to learn more of the machines, be able to help out on projects in terms of, obviously, I'm not going to have any sort of skill set that matches Matt's, but if I can do some mundane stuff that's just basic shaping or basic planar and thicknessing or sanding, then I want to be able to get to that standard so that we can get projects moving forwards faster, and so we can output videos quicker and we can get more entertainment out to you guys at a better rate. But the lathe would be a great one to do. At the moment, what I'm doing at home is I'm currently planning and figuring out how I can incorporate a workshop, smaller than the size of this workbench now when I look at it, into my garage so that I can build some of these 309 Woodworking School projects at home in my own time and really learn how it all comes together, learn the intricacies, and then I can then be a part of planning future stuff in regards to, oh, this was really difficult to do. Why don't we hammer this concept home in the next project pack, and so on and so forth. So yeah, when we get more free time, I want to play with all the machines. I want to learn everything I need to do safely, of course, and then hopefully help participate in future content too. Fingers crossed. Chris said, reach out for the online learning environment beta lol. Yes, will do. Tom said you could try a simple build along on a second channel with something simple to iron out the problems. That's probably a good idea. Something really small scale, something that perhaps can be built in a day, almost something that you don't want to glue up. And yeah, just try the concept. I'm even just trying to figure out camera positions, because Matt's like, we could probably just do it with 3, 1 fixed, 1 close up, 1 roaming. I'm like, okay, now the roaming one's actually going to be a challenge because I'm holding a camera for 8 hours, blah, blah, blah. But maybe that's the only way of doing it. Who knows? But I think a beta would be a good idea. Definitely something we should be doing. Andy Week said, build along would be a riot. It would be. It'd be great fun. And like, there's no doubt that something would go wrong this end. So that in itself is, to the right audience, is entertainment. To the wrong audience is offensive to the price that you pay for admission. But hopefully we can sort of market it correctly to begin with, to let people be aware of what they're getting into. And then when we've done the live stream, we can then go and edit it, tweak it, condense it, make it a little bit more succinct and polished for the sort of paid offline course at a later date. Which both me and Matt have agreed is probably the right way of doing things to make sure that quality is maintained at a high standard. Chris said, Rob, has there been a discussion about what project to do for the classes? Beginner, intermediate, advanced. It would be something that we'd begin with, like absolute beginner. Something that we would make sure is accessible to a wider audience as possible, while at the same time being something that's simple for us to film and put together. Because otherwise, what's going to happen with the first one is if we overcomplicate it, we're going to probably come across our own barriers that we hadn't planned for, and we won't be able to work around them as easily as a beginner project might be able to do. So therefore, we'll get the experience with beginner stuff, we'll get some people to a certain level, then we can do the intermediate stuff. And at the same time, we've learned from experience on the beginner stuff, and we can improve our methods on the intermediate stuff as well. And so on and so forth. And then hopefully by the end of it, whatever this phase is of testing and trialing and building up knowledge, we can come out at the end with some really highly produced, high product stuff. Sorry, I was hoping that was Matt messaging me. It was not. It was into 360. So then said, how would you host that kind of live online class? Like, would it be Zoom, Google Workplace? We don't know. Matt went on a course a few months back, one of these YouTube courses, and he said that was very good, and I think that was just through Zoom. But that's just a webcam chat. We would have to trial a few different providers of that sort of thing, because essentially I know for a fact from working at Bosch with Microsoft Teams, which was their go-to, the more people you had on the stream, the lower the bitrate of the stream. And if you don't know, the bitrate basically means the quality. So you can have a 1080p stream, but if the bitrate is low, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be blurry in some ways. Any movement's going to look awful. So we tried to do some internal team meetings that needed to be at a higher production standard. And during testing with 3, 4, 5 people, it would look really good, really crispy, really professional, because essentially we're using a live stream setup, but for an internal meeting across teams. But then as soon as you reached a larger audience, say 50, 60, 70 employees, maybe 100, 120, people can't read the stuff that's now on the presentations. So you've actually stepped back from what's achievable on these platforms, because otherwise you'd normally just, if you're doing a presentation, you'd screen share and you get a really high quality presentation, even though that's really boring to look at. But when you go for video camera and you sort of have an in-feed of someone's screen into the setup, then it lowers the bitrate of the text and that's no longer readable, and you get some very annoyed people. So some testing would be involved. Because it would be nice to have as high quality as you get on YouTube, say. But if if it can't just be a chat, like literally just talking to people live, then that's a bit of a, I don't know, it's not as good. It doesn't feel as interactive, and therefore you're not getting the value, because essentially you're watching a live stream and typing messages, which is inconvenient if you're halfway through sawing something. So we're going to have to find this ability to have one-on-one communication in real time via a platform that's hopefully stable enough to ensure people are getting the highest quality that's available to them. Trial and error. It's going to happen. So also said that Matt's going to give me the sanding jobs. Probably. I enjoy them for the first 15 minutes and then hate them. Coming from the experience of making the Purdue table, Purdue desk way back when, my first video with Matt, I was like, oh, this is so good, sanding, look how large this is, look at the machine that's going on, this is really satisfying. Oh wait, we've got to do the whole machine, the whole desk with 2 or 3 or 4 different grits of sandpaper. Oh, I'm really bored now. Can I do something else? But, to be fair, probably wasn't the greatest sander to be using in the first place. I know Matt's got a really cheap one that's really unbalanced with high vibration. I think he used that one. I used a Bosch one, but it was corded at the time, and I know that's a pain as is. So maybe it'd be different. But yeah, I also know that sanding is not fun, hand sanding either. From the dovetail box, that's why I know it. Especially with Purdue, because I was having to get rid of a lot of tear out and deal with that as well. By the by, he will get me doing the really mundane jobs. Chris said, any thoughts on an apprentice/intern to help with the basics? Packaging, organising, helping with basic woodworking, etc. Yes, we have actually thought about that. Not so much as sort of apprentice or intern, because, well, actually, I don't know what Matt thinks. This is my personal opinion. Intern, I feel like if you're not providing educational value to a high enough degree, I don't mean a degree in terms of university degree, I just mean degree in terms of high quality, then you're using that term as cheap labour, coming from Bosch, who employed lots of interns. Probably half of the workforce in my marketing department were interns. That's not to say that they didn't learn anything, but I also think that some things could be structured in a better way than that, which also means that we would have to dedicate more time as a team of 2 to educating said intern. Similar thing with an apprentice. Again, you've got to dedicate time to educational formats, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not a place that I don't think we're comfortable being in right now while we're still building the very foundations of what we're doing. But with both of those being said, that won't stop us potentially employing someone to come in maybe once, twice a week, who knows, it could be shorter time frame or bigger time frame than that, to come in and help produce or help deal with the packaging. Because we know now what the project packs involve, we know the time that it takes, so therefore we can actually put a value to that. And we would want to make sure that the person is compensated well, and therefore hopefully the high quality still maintains upon delivery, but it means it frees up more time for us. It's absolutely something we're thinking of, just something we haven't implemented yet. I think that's probably going to happen in the next, I'm going to guess, 2 to 3 months, as we gauge what sort of consistent purchasing we get from the project packs, from the marking knives, and how much time that's taking to deal with. We need to get to a really highly efficient standard between us first, so that then we can teach that to the person we employ to both save us money and save them time at the same time. And obviously get project packs and knives out to people at a quicker rate. Definitely something we're thinking of though. Good suggestion otherwise. Neil said, I would definitely like to see projects for beginners as though I make is straight or accurate. Sorry. I would definitely like to see projects for beginners as... I could be being utterly stupid trying to read that, so if you want to retype that out, go for it. But agree with the projects for beginners, because to be honest, that's something I want as well. Trying to solve basic problems, trying to deal with basic joints. Like, going back to basics is always good. It doesn't matter how advanced you are. It's like, oh, I've been doing that wrong for years. Turns out it's a hell of a lot easier than I realised. That sort of thing. It's no brainer to at least start with the basics. Adam says, group vote for Rob getting a bonus for solo hosting the catch-up. I have to be honest, Matt actually gave me a bonus. So, as much as I knock him for being the worst boss in the world, he's not at all. But he was very kind and he did give me that. So maybe this is my gift to him for managing to host this all the way through. Which I'm actually shocked. I've been going for an hour and a bit so far, and it's been going as well as it has. I have jinxed it heavily, but I'm proud of me. Proud of me. Neil said maybe the build along should be something simple to make. Agreed. Yeah. Educated Numpty says hopefully Matt might stop off and get Rob a trifle as a bonus. I don't need a trifle. Trifles aren't as good as Matt makes out. They're just a bit of jelly and cream and a bit of fruit. Apparently he says the chocolate one's really good. I'd be happy to give that a go. But, you know, just like cake. Have a cake instead of a chocolate cake. Not like a heavy one, but something that you can have a lot of without feeling like you're killing yourself. That is good. Whereas trifle is just like, it's just mush thrown into a bowl. Why are you even going to bother? At least with a cake, it's got a bit of structure to it. I mean, he'll hate me for saying any of that. Luckily, he won't have the patience to watch this whole live stream. So he'll miss this bit. But no, trifle's not for me. And anyone who thinks trifle's the best dessert is wrong, basically. Nate said, if everyone is sending video, good luck. Well, if you're referring to the courses, yeah, that would be a challenge. But maybe that's something where we literally go, right, this is the part where we're going to show you how to do this thing. So if everyone could disable their cameras, then we'll go through this process and then we will have a Q&A at the end. If you've got something urgent that you want to say, please raise your hand in the team room because, you know, you've got that button on these various platforms, and feel free to jump on the call and we'll talk to you there as well. That's probably how it would be handled if we can't find something that can consistently handle the bitrate of, say, 10 participants and us. Combine chat and video for the learning side coupled with a YouTube live stream. The concerns on that, Chris, in terms of combining, having two things running at once, is the internet in here isn't fantastic. Pardon me. It's really annoying because we just heard recently that essentially the people the landlords, that's the word, I was going to say estate agents, no, they're the landlords of this place, of these units, were offered the ability to have super fast internet here. It's the same internet that I've got in my house, which is so good, like you can get a terabit up and down even. And they refuse it because they're like, why does anyone ever need good internet? You've just alienated so many different businesses. Sadly. At least we've got good enough stuff to do this, but I'm concerned having multiple streams going out at the same time is actually going to hinder the quality, even if it's just audio going through one or video going through the other. I'm pretty sure, Chris, you probably meant just have the video on one platform and then on YouTube, and then you'd have Teams or something as a live chat on the other. But the problem is on YouTube you can't get it real time. But the best you can do is ultra low latency, and that's a 6-second delay, which would really make things difficult for call and response and showing how things are done. I've had to set this live stream to low latency, which I think is about 10 to 15 seconds, just because I'm worried about the upload speed. So anything I say, I'm 10 to 15 seconds in the past for you. That's so weird. Naught equals nothing. I'm a northerner. It's just naught, of course. Neil said, I would definitely like to see projects for beginners. Is naught I make is straight or accurate? Nothing I make is straight. Yes, naught I make is straight. That makes a lot of sense. You and me both. Yeah. I think if I didn't have Matt hand holding me essentially for the dovetail box, it would not have turned out as good as it did. Which is why I really want to make the home workshop in the garage, because I need to put my skills to the test without him, but also put the skills of him as a teacher on YouTube to a test. I appreciate the comment, Educated Numpty. I shall not read it out. Tom Cam said, basics like turning up to your own live stream. Yeah. Shocking, right? You know, he might... When I was on the phone to him earlier, I think he was a little bit doubtful about me running it myself. I don't know whether that's because he doubted that I could, but whether or not he wanted to make sure that he was here because obviously he owes a lot to you guys being patrons of the channel. So he might go and do something else somewhere else or might run his own little live stream. I don't know. Again, don't take my words for gospel, but he definitely did want to postpone it. I just forced the moment because otherwise the next time we'd postpone it is early January, and now it's no longer a December catch-up and we've got stuff to do in January, and you know, it starts to become a mess, and I think you guys get the idea. As long as you're getting the news and you're getting stuff from like either myself or Matt, at least we're in the right place of being open and honest with what we're trying to do with the channel and getting people into woodworking and trying to fund the whole process at the same time. No, as host you disable cameras. Yeah, you're right, says Tim Biller. I would be camera disabler. There's no doubt about that. Which is the challenge, because then I'm meant to be filming stuff and handling that. It's, again, starting to work out. But maybe there's features you can do now, like say on a Stream Deck, that little device with essentially hotkeys. And maybe that can sort of be inserted into these programs now and do sort of stuff like that on bulk, because that would be quite useful. I could almost keep that to hand. I want to make like a wireless version of a Stream Deck. I wonder if you can do that. Does anyone know if you can get something where, imagine you've got a device, let's just call it a keyboard. A wired keyboard with a USB output. Can you add something to that USB end to turn it into a wireless keyboard? I know wireless keyboards exist. That's beside the point, because I want to make a Stream Deck wireless, and that doesn't exist. If that exists, then I can be filming and just basically have a button on the side of my leg, and I feel like the Terminator or something, I don't know. I guess he doesn't have a button. Cyberman, they have buttons. No, Darth Vader, he had a button on his chest. He never pressed any of those buttons. But I could be like that, and that would be useful. Adam OS said exactly what a former government said and did to the whole of Australia's internet structure. Oh, right, yeah. Just refused it. Why? Why refuse good internet? Don't get it. Chris said, tell him you promised everyone 50% off the website who attended the live stream since he didn't make it. I could do that. I could make it happen. But I'm also aware that the more discounts you guys get, the more in jeopardy my salary is. So, it's a difficult balance for me. I'm conflicted. But I can still tell him that. See the panic on his face. Tim said, you need a crew. Possibly. But, we like making stressful situations for ourselves, much like the Dovetail speedrun record. That was filmed and live streamed all at the same time. And that worked. Obviously, we didn't have live call and response at the same time, but it's still an awesome time. Very stressful time, but an awesome one. Adam, I don't need to hide any tools. I literally don't. Every single day. I see, because I sit in the office and there's this nice big window, and I just see him walking aimlessly, and I just shout, you lost something. It's like, yeah, he's lost something because he's put something in the wrong place. If you saw the behind the scenes the other day, I think, he went to his car to try and find his van keys that he had lost, and at the same time found 4 tape measures. I had wondered where they'd all gone. I hadn't ever thought to check his car for 4 tape measures. Why someone needs to measure that many things somewhere else, I don't know. But yeah, I don't need to hide anything to slow him down. Sarah said, yeah, honestly, this whole ordeal is not a 2-person job. Yeah, you're right. And while we, basically, to give you a little bit of, inside knowledge, when I was working at Bosch, we as a team at Bosch were very much sort of set in our ways of doing what we believe was best and doing it over and over again in the same way, and it's the classic expecting a different result. So then this guy came in, we had a training session across multiple days talking about the concept of being agile in the business environment. And I'm sure any of you in the corporate world have heard of this, and you might even hate the term, but I personally really loved learning about it and what we should be doing. And that's what I'm trying to instill here from the get-go, is the whole idea that we need to work on development as much as possible to the point where our standard is at a place that we can create development notes and pass that on to another individual who can then maintain that system in a slightly more autonomous manner, thereby freeing up that time that we'd been using for development to then work on the next thing for development, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're currently working on with the project packs. Obviously, I mentioned potentially getting someone in to handle just packaging on that front. It's something that we're doing with the marking knives. There's some really cool stuff going on with that, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. And that's something that we're just going to keep on progressing forwards with. So as we find these hurdles, hopefully we can find the solutions, and then we can train those solutions to someone else and move on to the next thing. And thereby we continuously develop, continuously grow as a company, and always make sure that we're hitting these high standards that you guys expect, that we expect, and so that we don't fall behind and end up in a rut, which is kind of what I think happened prior to me leaving the first time. Not that I'm planning on leaving a second time. We ended up in a rut. There was lots of repetition. There was lots of the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, and no development, or not as much development as we could have been doing. So that's where the change is happening now, to make sure we're pushing forwards consistently. Neil said, I know that you can program some of the keys on a mechanical keyboard. I will actually just look into that. I mean, if I'm talking wireless keyboards and wireless key bindings, I might as well just strap a keyboard to myself. Sarah said, it's not like somebody made him an awesome station for the tape measures. I know. I can literally see it here. I can see one tape measure on it. It's missing 3 already. He doesn't put things back where they need to go. But I'm going to learn this place. I'm going to decide where things go, and I'm going to put them there, so he can always just come to me and find out what's going on. And then when he's annoyed that I keep moving stuff around, keep getting messages. Yeah, when he's annoyed that I keep moving stuff around, I'll be like, well, tell me where you put this. Tell me where you put this. The only reason it's in this new location is because you're useless. So we shall see. We'll try and make it more efficient as we go. Yeah, I thought there'd be people who didn't like Agile. Yeah. But, tell you what, if you'd been trained by this particular person who trained us, he was so good. And not afraid to speak his mind as well. That's what I really appreciate. Somebody who's just open and honest. There's no good just saying nice things because you're just trying to appease everyone in the group. No. Tell someone they need to improve, or tell the team they need to improve, because otherwise bad things are going to happen, because that's true, right? And that's the only way you're going to develop, is if you recognise these things happening. Not to say that compassion and being polite to people isn't a good thing to begin with, and you can still be polite and tell someone they're doing a bad thing, but just don't be scared to be honest. And this guy was perfect for that, which is why I've taken the Agile stuff to heart. And I actually messaged the guy when I left. I think it might have been on the day that I was leaving. I sent him a message on LinkedIn to say, thank you for the training, because you've essentially shown me what should be going on. Whether or not it happens within the Bosch team, I don't know. I can't speak for what they're doing now. I don't have that insight. But I recognised what needed to happen. I wanted to do it in a better place if it was going to produce things faster at a higher rate. And so I ended up here. Tim Biller said, take a leaf from Axminster's live streams, presenter presents, crew shoot and stream. Yeah, there is that. There is the nice idea of having two sort of separate entities, but there is also the communication between the team and the person doing the presenting, which I think adds a lot. Not to say that Axminster don't do it, because to be honest, I haven't watched their live streams, but it's that friendly character that I would be concerned about losing if, say, we started to hire more people to do these live streams. In fact, now that I think about it, there's a few people I just know who would be good friends who could do it. But it's sort of, again, agile. We want to be able to trial it ourselves, find the weaknesses, improve on them first before sort of handing it off in a half-finished state. You want to make sure it's actually at a decent point to do the handover. Sarah said, a large part of me talking to Matt has historically been me reminding him of where things are. Yes. Yeah. Okay. He can make things, but only when he knows where the things are. Ho-hum. It'll improve. It has to. It has to. Right. Oh, they do communicate, and it works. Okay, cool. I will have a look at that. I will. And in fact, what I might do is, if it's decent, I'll send it over to the Bosch team as well, because the live streams that they're doing, they're essentially trying to emulate a similar thing that's probably going on with Axminster that I'm thinking about now, because I'm the one who built them in the first place. So I might just hand that off to them and say, look, trial this, do this. But who knows? We shall see. We can all improve live streams at a nice even rate together. Oh, anyways, I think I'm going to read Tom Kemp's final message here, because that sounds interesting. I like the way James Wright does the live streams with multiple cameras before the vertical format, that is. I'll have a look. I'll take a look at that as well. And by that, I mean I'm actually going to make a note, because otherwise I won't take a look, because I'm useless. James Wright, and my fingers are really not working now, and Axminster, both live streams. Awesome. Wood by Wright. Thank you, because I'm not very good at knowing YouTubers' names in the space yet. Wood by Wright. I'm pretty sure they will rehearse. Was it? Yeah. Again, that's something that we should do as well. Rehearse, because we know we're doing a particular project, and have a well-finished product before we even begin live stream. Great idea. I'll go on then, Sarah. Let's make this a final question then, because I need to wrap up, because I need to go out to dinner. And that's a high priority for me right now, thinking about food. Sarah said, the most important question, Rob, did you enjoy your holiday? Yes, I did. It was far too short, although I'm back here talking to you guys, so actually I can't complain. It's still a fun job. But yeah, had a great time. Had meals with my family, my girlfriend's family, had many games, very stressful situations where people didn't understand games, people didn't understand how trivia questions worked, you know, all the basic stuff that happens with family. But it was good regardless. Had far too much to drink on Christmas Day. Looking forward to the concept of a dry January. I don't need alcohol. I don't need the groggy feeling the next day, or just feeling groggy in general. I need to get stuff done. Don't need that. I might even try and wean myself off caffeine as well. That's been sort of a little bit of a staple for me with energy drinks. Again, I think no alcohol and no caffeine January is probably a good place. Combine that with no sugar, you know, as in like chocolate and stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to avoid sugar in just all foods. It's probably going to be a really good start to the year. Tempted to do it. Oh, anyways, thank you very much, Tom Kemp. He said, have fun at dinner. Well done for hosting it by yourself. Thank you very much. Give Matt hell. Will do. Happily. Tim Biller says, top job all round. Thank you very much. Chris said, totally understand for dry January. Yep. That's good. Sarah said, lovely. Thank you. And Adam said, thanks, Rob. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Thank you all so much for joining me today. It's been a little bit of a wild ride running this solo, but I think it's been good fun. I think it worked regardless. And like I said, if you want to get in touch via Patreon, because that's just the best place to keep an eye on things, obviously from you guys, please do. If you've got ideas for the live streams, if you've got ideas for the project packs, if you've got ideas for anything in general, genuinely reach out. If you see an issue somewhere, not on the Freeline Woodworking School, obviously that's got major issues right now, but if you see issues, let us know. If we don't know about them, we can't fix them, and I want to make sure that things are always improving, always continuing to progress and develop as we go along, and I can't do that without your guys' help. So thank you very much for watching the live stream. I hope you all have a fantastic new year, and Enjoy New Year's Day. Don't get too hungover to the point where you don't see New Year's Day. And looking forward to a very busy, productive and enjoyable and hopefully entertaining 2024. I think that's right. Jesus, I didn't know what year it was. 2024. It's going to be a good one. Have a good one, everyone, and I'll see you all later. And yeah, classically, I don't have an outro, so, you know, here's the intro again. Bye.